Hello, happy holidays! Now, before I sign out for 2019, I have one more project to share with you, and this one is a good one. In this video, we'll dot a matte black Christmas ornament with a lovely and delicate pearl white beaded lace pattern. These are classic, feminine, and delicate looking ornaments that will look great on any tree. Now, this is an intermediate level project, but once you learn the techniques, you'll be making these easily in no time. While I used black and white in this video, you can use color in either your ornament or your paint color. You can mix it up in any way you'd like. So this is the ornament we're gonna make today, and it's gonna be a fun project, so let's get started. Okay, so all you need for this project is a craft Christmas ornament. This is just a matte black, shatter-proof black ornament. Then you're going to need a chalk marker so that you can draw all of your divider lines on there. I am using Folk Art Multi-Surface Pearl White paint because it says you can use it on plastic, so I want to make sure that I use the right paint. But if you use regular acrylic paint, just make sure that you use a sealer in the end, and then I'm sure you're fine. I've actually tested a bunch of different paints, and most of them seem to work just fine. So test what you've got and see if it works, because it might. Then I'm using an applicator bottle to apply the dots, but you can use stylus tools and regular dotting tools. You're going to need some tape, and then you're going to need a piece of paper. It's just a strip of paper that's like 1/4 of an inch wide. And this is going to be the magical tool that will tell you exactly how to divide your ornament into sections. So let me show you how you do this. So the first thing what you need to do is take your piece of paper, and the cool thing about shatterproof ornaments, let me zoom in really close. See how there is like a seam that goes along the halfway mark on these balls? That's actually awesome because it gives you your vertical center point, and you can use that to make sure that everything is lined up. So what I'm going to do is take my piece of paper. Right now what I'm going to do is just tape it down and find out what the circumference is of the center line of this ornament. So everyone is going to have a different size ornament. And that's why this is going to work for every single ornament, no matter what size it is. You just make a pattern every time, and it will work for all of your ornaments if they're all the same size. So you fold it back on the halfway point, and then you can take it off. So this right here is the exact length of the circumference of the ornament, okay? So it fits absolutely along this center line. And the way I learned this was from the art of Japanese temari embroidery. I used to do that. That's a different video, but it's an enjoyable hobby. If I wasn't so obsessed with dots, I might be into that. But let's do this. So what I want to do is divide this ball into 6 sections. So the way I do that is you take your paper and then you do like a business letter fold, right? So you take the top and the bottom, and basically what we're doing here is just dividing it into three sections. See how I did that? Just like a business letter fold. So you fold the top down and the bottom up, and then see how now we have 3 sections. So the way to get it to 6 sections is after you fold it into thirds, you fold it in half, and now you have sixths. That's a hard word to say, but just six sections. See how when I unfold it, this is like a magic show, guys. All right, so it went from thirds and now it's sixths. So I'm going to take my pen and mark each of these fold lines, just like this. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. Isn't that cool? So now you have the thing that will divide your ornament into 6. And then we'll just tape it back onto the ball. Make sure that you get it as level as possible. And then, boom, there you go. See? All right, so now I'm going to take my chalk marker, and this is the kind that I use. This is the one that I like. K and Mom chalk markers. It's like a 3mm tip. Looks like my kids have gotten into it though, because it's got color on it. All right, so now we're just marking each one of these lines, just like this, on our ball. And there you go. So now it's divided into 6 sections. So now we're going to move up to the top and divide this. We know that this is part of the lines because that has the seam on it. So you just follow the seam up and then do exactly the other side. And then, I don't know if I can line this up perfectly, but you can see here that you can line it up when you look directly at it. Now I'm kind of, what is that? I don't know what that is. So what you can do is you just eyeball it, right? And I can't face the camera and do it at the same time, so I'm going to look at it. I'm going to point it directly at me so that I can see where those sections are. All right, so there it is. So now what we're going to do is place our dots. And what I'm going to do is have like a lattice like this. You can have lattice along this section and then do like little lacy bits at the bottom. So we're going to go back to this and I'm going to place this along this line, right? Now I want to do, I think I'm going to have it stop right about here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do it like 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Mark, mark, mark. And then I'm going to do this on each one of these sections. So put the end at the top of the ornament. First dot, second dot, third dot. Line it up with the top of the ornament and that dot. Line it up with this dot. See? And then do that all the way around. Okay, so now I have all my dots set up. Now the next step is to place a dot in between those dots. Okay, so this is just like this, right? So going from this one and this one, going right in between that one and that one, and that one and that one, right in between. And then I'm doing that all the way around. All right, so now I have my grid. This is the basic lacework grid for the entire top half of the ball. Now it's time to paint. So I have this cup, and it's the exact circumference of my ball, and I just stick it in there. But you can use all different kinds of things. You can use Play-Doh or, you know, some kind of putty, or even just like a little tape. Just put it right in there and that works. I like this because it's like, it's kind of foolproof. I can't have it fall out, and that's nice. All right, so I'm gonna grab a large tip. So I have this tip that I'm gonna use. It's a wide gauge tip, so it's going to give me a lot of paint. These are the larger dots in my design, so I'm going to use something that is really wide, and this is a good one to use. It's going to be really easy to get the paint to squish out. So just shake a couple times and make sure all the paint is at the tip of the bottle. And then what I usually do is I just take a scrap piece of paper, just do a couple of dots just to make sure that all the air bubbles are out and it's ready to go. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is place a dot at the top, just at each of these 6 places, just one big dot. All right, now I'm gonna place a large dot on each of these dots all the way around the ball. Same size. Now the cool thing about using these applicator bottles is you don't have to reload your tool, so it saves you from having to take your tool and go get the paint and then come back, because you lose your place when you do that every single time, just a little bit. So if you can keep your tool in the same basic location and just squeeze to get the paint, then that's a good thing. I found that to be a real help. Okay, so I just couldn't wait to wait for those to dry. So now I'm coming in with the middle dot. So you start first with the middle dot. And what I'm doing is I'm taking, see these 4 dots right here? I am placing a dot directly in between them. And it's slightly smaller, but still bigger than the dots that we're going to use to connect everything. And it'll make sense once I'm done. So now what I'm going to do is, now we have all of the grid of dots that we need. These are the bigger dots, and now what we're going to do is connect all of these with tiny, teeny, tiny dots. So I'm going to take this tip. This is one of the larger, wider gauge tips, and I'm going to take that off. And then I'm going to use one of the smaller ones. So this one is a good example, this pink one with the metal tip. This is one of the tinier sizes. And then I'm going to take my piece of paper and just make sure that there are no bubbles and everything is coming out fine. So this tip is going to make extra tiny dots. So we're going to just kind of gauge exactly. I'm thinking maybe 3 dots is what's going to connect those dots. So we're going to start with the center and then do the 2 on each side. So center, 2, oh, hold on. Okay, glasses. All right, center, and then 2. And you'll notice that some dots are closer together than others, and that's fine, but center and then on either side. Now I'm getting some bubbles, and that's okay. All right. And you'll see that it starts to look really lacy. Things start to come together. And you just do diagonal lines, diagonal connecting lines all the way around. And you'll see these come out like little pearls. And because this is a medium body multi-surface paint, it's going to keep that bumpy texture and feel and look really cool. It just adds a new area of interest to your work when you have three-dimensional dots. They're fun to touch and they capture the light a little bit differently than the flat dots. See, 4 would fit in there, but I think just to keep it uniform, I'm going to keep going with 3. Alright, so I think you get the idea. I'm going to do the same thing all the way around, and then I'll catch you back at the end of this. Alright, so now we've got all of the diagonal lines all done, and you can see it's already looking super lacy around there. Nothing is dry. This is all still wet. I'm just impatient. So the next step is we're going to connect all of these. See these 6 dots? We're going to connect them with the ones directly underneath them. So this is going to be a trick because these are still wet, but we're going to just do, and I think I'm going to do big to small. Why not? Just like that. So biggest dot goes here, and then you just taper it down, and you're going to actually do one line, skip this one, do another line, skip that one, and we'll just do it all the way around. So largest dot, taper down, skip that one, largest dot, skip that one. Oh, there's my son. Don't worry. Grandma's here. So I gotta get this done quick. And there. Okay, so what are we gonna do with this guy? That's a good question. Hadn't really thought about that, but it does need to connect somehow. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect vertically, like do V shapes like that. So again, we'll do largest down to the smallest and try and get the same number on both sides, just like that. All right, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so there we are. We're at the end, and this is the perfect stopping point because now we actually can't go any further down without this part being dry. So I'm gonna just let this hang out, let it get completely dry. So I'll give it like, I don't know, maybe an hour or 2, and then we'll come back when it's all solid and we'll do the rest. Okay, so one quick thing before I go, I want to make sure that you know that at this point you need to take your tips off and close off your bottle. So just put the nozzle cap on your bottle, and this will save for months. This is just like keeping it in your regular acrylic bottle, but the tips, you want to make sure those are clean. So wash them out really good with water, and then you're good to go. The thing with these is just to make sure that you have a really good cleaning schedule. Keep them nice and clean. Don't let them clog. If they do get clogged, there's a way to clean them out, and just with a pin and some rubbing alcohol. But if you keep them clean with water, you'll never need to touch a pin, and it's good to go. So I'm gonna go wash these and let that dry, and then we'll finish this. It's gonna be... Hi, welcome back. It's been overnight, so my ball has dried, and I'll just show you. The dots are nice and puffy. They are all the way dry, and it has a really cool surface texture to it. These look like little tiny pearls, and I'm super happy with how it's turning out. So the next step is we're going to add some beaded stringed, looks like little necklaces along the bottom. So for that, I'm going to go and take my piece of paper, and what I'm going to do is just mark where I want the bottom of the arc of those strings to be. So I think I want it to be just right like there. They're just going to be shallow stringed pearls. And I'm going to mark from the bottom of this dot down to that line on every other dot. So I'm going to mark one, skip one, mark another one, skip one, mark this one, and last one. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is use my chalk marker and just draw arcs so that it connects in the center of this dot and touches that mark that we just made and connects with the other dot. So starts in the center, arcs down to meet that line, and then arcs up to meet this dot. Now, if you're not confident in making these arc shapes, you can make a stencil out of a piece of paper and just use that cut piece of paper to be your guide. Or you could even use a circle template. Let me see if that works. Hold, please. So if you have one of these, you could even use that probably. Let me just see. Yeah. Just like that. These are amazing, by the way. If you don't have these circle templates, these come in handy all the time. And yeah, they make life easier when you're not so sure about your circle drawing skills. So there we go. This is number 19. This is one of the tiny gauge tips, and it makes extra small dots. Put the tip on. Just want to shake it so that all the paint goes and runs to the front of the bottle. I'm going to make a couple of dots just to make sure all the air bubbles are out. And now for these are going to be just standard strings of tiny dots. Let me see. Okay. Just like this. All the same size. all along that arc. Now some of you see the disaster that is about to befall me, and I'm really glad that I was able to see that this cup is now a liability. Okay, so just make dots just like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double this strand up. And so I'm going to mimic this same arc, but have that second strand drop down just about 1/8 of an inch below what the one on top, what the level of the one on top is. So now that I marked that, I'm going to come up here, and I think I'm going to catch right about there and work my way down. And then back up again, just like that. And you know what? I think I'm going to go all the way up. You guys wonder why I use stencils. And this is why. So this chalk line, by the way, washes off with water. So all these lines that you see me make are temporary. Okay, so now I have at least a guide that will keep me on track, because yeah, that I just don't like, so I'm going to take that out. There. So now what I'm going to do is add drop shapes to each one of these. So each one of these dots that's in between these two strands of pearls, we're just going to make a dot right here and then drag it up to meet. And then we're going to add 2 little dots on either side and connect those like this. And we're going to do that for each section. So do a large drop shape in the middle, and then 2 tiny swooshes along the sides. Okay, so after looking at this for a while, I decided to switch it up. I'm actually going to do 3 strands of pearls and finish it off just like that. I think that is going to be exactly where I want to go with this one. This one's going to be a variation of the one that I was trying to copy. But I think I like the simplicity of this one a lot better. So right now I'm just sketching out that 3rd layer of pearls. And then I'm going to dot right on top of it. And now for this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different in that I'm going to have my dots start off small, and then as they go towards the bottom, I'm going to have them get larger and larger, and then I'm going to have them smaller and smaller, so that the strand of pearls looks like it has many different sized pearls going from small to large. Let's give that a shot. Okay, shake it out. And tiny beads. Now I'm going to adjust the pressure so that now I have maximum pressure on the bottle, and then I'm going to release the pressure, and there. So I don't know if you can see that those dots taper as they go down, they get large. The spacing is wider. And then I release the pressure and the dots get smaller and tighter. So very little pressure, dots are closer together, more pressure and more space between the dots. Release the pressure and the dots are tinier and closer together. I've also found that with the tinier dots I'm a little faster. Then for the bigger dots I slow down. I space them out. Oops. And then there. And then now we are finished. That's the last row of dots. So here it is, the finished ornament. What do you think of this project? Did you guys like this as much as I did? Oh, it's so much fun. So we learned how to divide an ornament into an equal number of segments. We learned about making a lace design. We learned about making little strings of pearls. And now this is the final step. We're just going to wipe that chalk line off with a wet towel. See how easy that is? It just comes right off and no one has to know. It's like you didn't even use them. But it's our little secret. So there we go. And now the secret is ours and whoever watches this video. So once you get the hang of this way of painting, you can do interesting things, and I wanted to show you some variations that you can try. You can adjust the length of the drop shapes and the length of the necklace, the strung beads. You can make them long, short. You can have more divisions by adding more folds to your divider piece strip of paper. And you can even experiment with color. Even though I like these just one color, I do also tend to get crazy. And why not use a second color as your flat base color and then add puffy dots on top? I think that's a cool look. But you can use this in your mandala work, in your stones, and it's a really cool technique to apply to your work. So there it is, another ornament to add to your collection. I really hope that you all liked this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel because I have much more to come in 2020. It's going to be a big year and I hope to see you there. Hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. And as always, you can visit me over at the Dotting Center on Etsy if you need any dotting supplies, like an applicator bottle kit, for example, an early Christmas present to yourself. Stencils, dotting tools, patterns, projects, whatever you need, just visit me at the Dotting Center and I will hook you up. From me and my family to you and yours, I wish you all the best. Happy holidays, and I will see you in 2020.